Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage. Today is Watercolor Wednesday and I am Leslie Watkins. It's a stunningly beautiful day in New England today and there's very little humidity. The wind is blowing all the moisture away from the earth. We've had a lot of rain lately and it's sunny and it's cool and it just couldn't be nicer. And for those of you who are experiencing less than ideal weather, my thoughts are with you. And maybe by sharing the um, the experience of being here will give you a little bit of a respite, and maybe you could just visualize being in a nicer place and just getting some relief from the stress that you're going through. Um, I know that there are terrible stories from across the country, from flooding to fires and everything else, and I am aware of that. But I think it's important also to enjoy the good things when they happen to us as well. Anyway, I've got lots of good stuff to share with you today. I'm going to be doing a watercolor of some grapes, and I have a number of different varieties of grapes. I don't know their names, but there are green ones, red ones, and sort of in between ones. And some of them are kind of going past now. Others are just beginning to ripen. I've been feeding them to the chickens and the peacocks. They absolutely love them. And I actually made a grape pie. Who knew? Never heard of such a thing before. It was the most delicious pie I've ever had. So if you're not familiar with the grape pie, you can Google it. I believe it's an old French recipe. And there was a lady in Western New York who was very famous for making grape pies, and you can get her recipe on Google. It's very simple. I don't do fancy cooking. This is very rustic, very simple, and super delicious. And I also have a little guest to introduce you to today. And so let me turn you down and show you what our subjects look like. So first off, let me get my basket of grapes that I picked this morning. Here they are. And these are not all beauty grapes. They're not the fancy kind of designer grapes that you'll find in the supermarket, but these are the magnificent grapes that you will find in your garden. So I have some beautiful purple grapes. These are related to the Concord grapes. These are the ones that I made the pie from. They are pitted, so you want to remove the pits. But oh my goodness, it is so worthwhile and not that hard to do. And then I've got these grapes that have a kind of a russet, beautiful autumn tinge to them. All right, and you can see, they're not perfect, they're not beautiful, but I've said this before many times. These are the sort of subjects that make the most interesting pictures. If you have perfection, boom, 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 it gets very monotonous. Something like this makes a nicer picture, in my opinion. And then the green grapes, and these are so sweet. These grapes have just about well, not quite, but in the next day or two they're going to be past their prime. So that's what is inspiring me to do a picture today. And then I also want to share with you my new friend. So here he is. Let me get this out of the way so you can see better. This is Pan. I'm calling this fellow Pan, and I don't know if it's a male or a female. He's holding on tight here. But there he is. This is a Pandorus Sphinx moth caterpillar. And you can see it has 6 marks. Let's get him in there better. 6 marks on the side that look like eyes. And then he's got 1 eye marking on the back, and that's to deter predators from coming after him. He's supposed to look like a snake, and I think you can almost see what he's going for here with this marking. And this is his head. All right, and I'm not sure how many legs he has, but he's got a whole bunch of legs. So here he is on the bottom. And he's a nice size. So let's see if I can get him to stretch out and we'll measure him. Well, he's a little hunched up right now, but he's sort of ranging from 3 to maybe 3.5, but I bet if we stretched him out, he'd be 4 inches long. So that's a nice size caterpillar. And I found him near the grapevines, and at first I thought, oh my gosh, it's a tomato hornworm, which is actually kind of exciting because the chickens go wild for tomato hornworms. But I wanted to make sure. There was just something that didn't look quite right to me about that, and so I looked him up. It took me a minute, but sure enough, turns out he is the Pandorus Sphinx moth, and that is a caterpillar that loves to eat grapes and grape leaves. And I've got a lot of grapes, and so I don't mind sharing with the birds and the bugs and the caterpillars and the chickens, etc., because I have way more grapes than I could use myself. Just checking to see which side is the right side on my paper here. Right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him back outside so that he can go under the ground to pupate over the winter and emerge as the sphinx moth. And the Pandorus sphinx moth has a wingspan of 4.5 inches. And just to give you an idea, I mean, that's 4.5 inches. All right, so that is a big moth. And hopefully I'll be able to catch one someday and paint it, which would be a lot of fun. But for now, I'm just going to set up some grapes to work from. So this is my paper. It's been lightly spritzed. And I'm just going to put let's see, how am I going to do this? I'm running out of room here already and I haven't even started. So this paper measures roughly 11 by 11. I'm going to do an all-over pattern, and what I have in mind is a color palette that will that'll sort of say fall, because I want to do a fall themed journal. And by the way, the Design Journal Workshop is coming right along. So if you haven't already signed up to be notified of that, please go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to my newsletter notes so that I can send you information about the upcoming Design Journal Workshop. I'm very excited about it. And I've been working on the design. And actually, I'll give you a quick sneak preview of the cover. Okay, so this is how it's coming along so far. And it's going to be jam-packed with all sorts of goodies. All right, and I'm going to show you how you can make a beautiful, versatile journal just like this. One that you'll be able to decorate any way you like. You don't necessarily have to decorate yours the same way as I did mine, but I will give you some tips on how you can do something similar. So let me get my grapes organized here. I want to get these leaves. So there are some green ones. Then I'll take, I especially want to get these beautiful colors. Oh my gosh, they're so gorgeous. And let's see, get some purple ones. Beautiful, rich. Oh, so beautiful. You know, I'm sure that no matter where you live, if you just walk outside a little bit, you'll find something interesting to paint. And if you don't, then go to the grocery store, go to the produce section, and find yourself some veggies. All right, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to put the rest of these aside. Hey, Kelly, Ginger, Linda, Teresa. Oh, everybody's here today. Nice to see you all. All right, so I'm just going to pull these around so I can get a little more light on them. Now I'm using all natural light here. So, and the reason for that is because I want to get these beautiful soft shadows that the natural light gives us with the diffused edges. And I'm just going to grab, let me see, I'll put a leaf in the foreground here, something like that. Okay. And the paper is slightly damp. Okay, the water's had a minute to penetrate, so it's not soaking wet, but it is damp. And I'm going to be using just 3 colors. So I've got yellow, red, and blue. That's all I'm going to be using today, and the mixtures therewith. And you can see that my palette has lots of paint on it already, so I can use all of those tones if I need them. And I'm going to have to shift this whole thing over a little bit so I can get my palette on here. I think I need a bigger desk. That's the thing about doing these things. You always want bigger. All right. And then I've got my larger brush out today. This is a number 12. So this is a very large brush. I've had this brush for many decades actually. And then I have this brush, which is a 7. They're both rounds. And I'm going to get out my number 4, the little one, for the end when I do my detail work. I'm not going to get into detail too much. I'm going to keep this kind of loose. What I'm after here are these beautiful autumn tones. That's my main goal. And so I'm just going to get started by splashing some color around. I'm using my largest brush, and I'm just going to do something like this. And because I'll be tearing this paper up, I'm going to make sure that my color extends all the way to the edges. And I'm hoping that this breeze that is coming through my studio will help to let this dry a little faster. All right, so that is my underpainting, what I would call my underpainting. It's very wet, so I'm going to start adding more color, but using less water because I want to not saturate the paper any more than it already is, and it's already pretty darn wet. So you may have to tune in later today to see the end result because I'm probably not going to be able to get all the hard edges that I'll be looking for in just one session here. But you'll be able to see how I get started, and sometimes that's the most important thing. So I'm just adding richer, darker color. Well, I know it doesn't look like much, but if you squint your eyes and use your imagination, hopefully you'll be able to get an idea of where I'm going with this. I'm afraid it's going to have to be a short video because it's really wet and there's not much more I'm going to be able to do today except to let this dry a little bit, and then I'll be able to come back in and start drawing in my grapes and the stems and the shapes of the leaves, etc. But let me see if I can answer any questions you might have. Do you have any questions, folks? Let me see what's going on over here. Callie's running out of room on her desk. Yeah, it's a thing. And Linda can see it taking shape, so she's using her imagination. All right, so I'll just give it a couple more minutes. Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do at this point. Maybe what I'll do is just add a little bit of spatter just to get a little more texture in here. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of flicking of the brush while it's still damp. And I'll bring you in so you can get a little bit of a close-up. So that's what I've got so far. It's very abstract, very wet, and I'm just going to give that a chance to dry and get set up, and then I'll come back and I will glaze over the top of it and add some more detail. And when I'm done, I will post the picture so that you can see how that looks. And this is going to be used in a future autumn theme journal, which will probably be done in October, November sometime. So that will be another journal class that I'll have coming up then. So I'm going to leave you with this. Just checking to see if anybody has any questions. Doesn't look like there are any. So I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are. I hope you do something creative. Stay well. And I will see you on Saturday at 12 noon right here for Paper Crafting Saturday. And if you're new to my channel, please go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes. And I will get you on the mailing list so that you can receive notifications and announcements about upcoming specials, workshops, and classes both for paper crafting and watercolor.